Good evening, everyone. Hi, I just wanted to bring you a few subject matters, and one of them is the PPP loans. You know, I've been following a lot of different articles on the PPP loans, and I noticed that in those articles, a lot of people that are applying for them, they're stating that they're going to use them for the purpose of what the loan provisions are. But then once they get the money, what they're doing is they're spending the money on, houses, cars, trips, different types of things, eating out, dining out or whatever you want to call it. And so this man out, a Mississippi man, he is accused of spending PPP loan money on a $100,000 Tesla and $1 million house. Now that's a lot of money right there. And it says that Christopher Paul Lick is charged with wire fraud and money laundering, according to the Department of Justice. And he has pleaded not guilty. And it's telling you that PPP loans were designed to help small businesses stay afloat during the pandemic. And so he was arrested on Thursday, spending COVID-19 small business loans on a variety of luxury items. He got a $6 million in paycheck protection, which is the PPP funds, by filing false and fraudulent loan applications with banks, according to court documents cited in a news release by the U.S. Attorney's Office of Northern Mississippi on Friday. They also further state that he lied about the number of people his businesses employed and his expenses, as well as the Tesla and $1 million home. Lick invested some of the money in the stock market. He has been indicted by a federal grand jury before his arrest, the Department of Justice said. The 45-year-old is charged with 4 counts of wire fraud, 1 count of false statements to a financial institution, and 11 counts of money laundering, according to the Department of Justice. He faces up to 30 years in federal prison if he's convicted. On Saturday, he pleaded not guilty to the 16 accounts. And again, PPP loans were designed to help small business pay their staff, rent, and mortgage costs to help keep them afloat during the pandemic. Insider previously reported that the majority of borrowers can receive up to 2.5 times their average monthly payroll cost, but that loans can't exceed $2 million. The White House initially launched the program in April 2020, but the $349 billion funding ran out in 2 weeks. Congress approved another $320 billion in May, and the program stopped in August with around $130 billion in unused funds. The program was then relaunched in January with $284 billion in funding. And I want to just say that, it's not just that Mississippi man, but it's other people that have gotten these loans and have not used them according to the provisions that are outlined in these loans. And it's very important for people to actually if you're going to apply for these loans and receive the money, that you do the right thing with the money or don't apply at all, because the federal government is to investigate PPP loan fraud. And it says in Fort Myers, Florida. Now, this is in Fort Myers, Florida. Over the last year and a half, billions of taxpayer dollars were sent to companies struggling during the height of the pandemic. The U.S. government has good reason to believe it wasn't all legitimate. More than 900,000 companies in Florida alone applied for money from the Paycheck Protection Program known as PPP. A number of businesses like the Broadway Palm Dinner Theater in Fort Myers were able to secure a PPP loan to keep their doors open and keep people employed. The federal government said not every company secured loans quite so honestly. So they're looking into these loans. And so if you got it and you are not using the money outlined in the provisions stated in the loan, that you received it fraudulently, then the federal government is investigating that, investigating these loans. So you might be able to get your loan approved in the beginning, but they are going to come back and investigate if that money is being used according to the provisions and outlines in the PPP loan program that you are applying for or have applied for. So the Broadway Palm owner, Will Prather, said he isn't sure he would have been able to remain in business if it hadn't been for the PPP loan. He called it an important lifeline for his company. Last May, his stages were dark. The future was uncertain, and then his PPP loan came through. It allowed him to keep a vast majority of his management team employed, but not everyone spent the money the way he did. It's disheartening to see that happen, not only nationwide, but high-profile cases right here in Southwest Florida, Prather said. Casey Crowther owned Target Roofing. He received $2.1 million in PPP loan money, but he used his loan money. This particular other guy, Casey Crowther, he used his to buy a $700,000 catamaran and a lavish lifestyle. He'll be sentenced next month and faces 40 years in prison. Attorney Michael Harnong believes in Crowther's case, someone probably reported his abuse of the system. A special inspector general hired to investigate cases like Crowther's also discovered David Hines of Miami had received almost $4 million in PPP funds and used a big chunk of it to buy a Lamborghini. The government now, with a new inspector general, has been appointed. I think right now they're going to go down and just like tax returns, they're going to audit certain people in certain locations here in the state of Florida, said Harnong, suggesting they will likely find even more fraud in Florida and elsewhere. But those like Will Prather who spent it properly have already had their loan forgiven and are closer to being back to normal. We have a production of Grease that will be running all of July and early August, he stated. If you know somebody or suspect someone may have abused the PPP loan program, you're urged to call the Inspector General's office at 202-927-7899. So again, they are investigating these PPP loan funds. They're going to do it like they would do an IRS audit. And they are definitely looking into that. And they said that they're probably going to be even more, discovering even more, fraud when it comes to these loans. So it's very important that if you are applying for the loans, that you do so with the honest and integrity to use the money according to the provisions that's outlined in the loans. If you have already applied, hopefully you have done the right thing, because they are coming for people. And they have actually another man, he was a pastor. He spent his money on buying cars. It was a defunct business. And he actually all of a sudden had the business open again and bought cars, all type of cars. He spent the money, different type of ways. He didn't use the money according to the provisions in the loan. And so he is facing charges, and they had arrested him down south in another state. So again, it's really up to the people that are applying for these loans and receiving them to make sure that they are receiving the money according to the provisions of the, that are outlined, and that they utilize the money according to the provisions and outlines of the PPP loans. So, with that being said, I just wanted to bring you that information and talk with you soon. Bye-bye.